After a day of legal skirmishes that unfolded in courtrooms in both Ontario and Nova Scotia, a decision on whether the Loney Bowl will be played this season remains in limbo. About the only thing that is certain in this complicated and likely unprecedented affair is that the Atlantic University Football Championship will not be contested on Saturday, as originally scheduled. The Nova Scotia Supreme Court in Halifax adjourned a hearing into the matter on Friday night and asked lawyers to reconvene on Saturday for further debate. Story continues below. Advertisement. In a move on Thursday that stunned the Canadian university sports landscape, the championship game that was to be played between St. Mary's and Acadia on the Acadia campus in Wolfville, NS, was abruptly cancelled by Atlantic University Sport over an unresolved eligibility issue involving St. Mary's. Instead, the Ouse awarded the league title to Acadia outright. Ouse Executive Director Phil Curry said on Friday he could not comment on the latest developments as the matter was before the courts. On Thursday, when the Ouse made its decision to cancel the game, Curry told the Chronicle-Herald in Halifax that it was the only move it could make to maintain the integrity of the association, given St. Mary's eligibility issue. The stakes are high as the Loney Bowl was to be one of 4 conference championships across Canada this weekend in youth sports, leading up to the Vanier Cup National Championship in Hamilton on November 25. If the Nova Scotia court upholds the Ouse decision, Acadia will be awarded a berth in next weekend's national semi-final bowl game against either the Western Mustangs or the Wilfrid Laurier Golden Hawks, who vie for the Ontario title on Saturday. While the cancellation of the Ouse Championship has the tacit support of U Sports, the governing body of university sports in Canada, St. Mary's is insisting that Ouse acted arbitrarily and rather unilaterally in calling off the game. This promoted the Halifax institution to mount a legal challenge in Nova Scotia to get the ruling overturned so the game can be played. Story continues below. Advertisement. Really the way to decide these issues is on the playing field, Margaret Murphy, Associate Vice-President of External Affairs for St. Mary's, said in an interview. And so there's certainly an opportunity this weekend to continue with the Loney Bowl. Our position is clear. Our team is ready, our coach is ready. Any other team in the conference would feel the same way. They would be practicing, they would be ready as well. St. Mary's has not given up hope of a favorable court decision, which would allow the game to be played, although not on Saturday. There's plenty of time to play the game on the weekend, as we've said, Murphy said. And for the university that weekend extends into Monday. In fact, the signals and momentum of today, certainly out of the Ontario court system, would be in our favor. On Friday morning in Toronto, the situation grew more muddled after Justice Todd Archibald of the Ontario Superior Court granted St. Mary's a temporary injunction in its legal challenge against U Sports involving the player eligibility issue raised against the school. The matter is to be back before the Ontario Superior Court next week. That case is being heard in Ontario because that is where U Sports is based. Story continues below. Advertisement. St. Mary's believes Justice Archibald's decision supports the university's contention that it had an agreement in place with U Sports, both verbal and in writing, that the eligibility issue was a non-starter. U Sports Chief Executive Officer Graham Brown said he respected the AUS's decision to cancel the league's championship game. The Ouse made the decision it believes to be the best to protect the integrity and fairness of its football season, Brown said in a statement. And he also had some harsh words for St. Mary's for rushing into a legal challenge that he believes could have been handled in-house much more expediently. If they think their player is eligible, why not let our own panel hear it, Brown said in an interview. Brown noted that the St. Mary's football team has already been sanctioned once this season for using an ineligible player and that the program was fined and put on 18 months probation. U Sports also stripped the team of 1 regular season win and 1 preseason win. This is serious stuff, Brown said. This is their alleged second violation in 6 weeks. Their football program could be suspended for multiple years. That's why I think they're fighting it so hard.